Some films make you think, others make you feel. But every once in a while a film comes along that makes you question yourself, your gaze, your moral, and the very act of watching. Man Bites Dog is that kind of film. It's the kind of evil that doesn't just live on screen, it sleeps through it. It reaches out and pulls you in. A Belgian black and white mockumentary from 1992, made by a group of film students on a shoestring budget. And yet, somehow it's still one of the most moral disturbing and intellectual brilliant movies ever made. A film so evil, he made you watch it twice. The premise sounds almost absurd. A camera crew follows a charismatic serial killer named Ben as he roams through Belgium, murdering random people, burying bodies and philosophizing about life, love and architecture. He's charming, witty and funny, the kind of person you could imagine having a beer with, right up until he dumps a body into a canal. The camera follows everything. It's cinema verite, but turned inside out. And very quickly something strange starts to happen. The documentarians, who are supposed to be objective, stop being observers. They start helping, holding lights, carrying corpses, asking for retakes. It's a film that itself is documenting a descent, not just into murder, but into collaboration. What makes Man Bites Dog such a masterstroke is its escalation. At first, you think the film is about a killer, a study of evil, maybe a satire about violence in the media. But the real subject isn't Ben, it's the filmmakers. You can't pinpoint the exact moment when they stop documenting and start participating. They move from moral observers to willing accomplices. And because the movie is shot through their lens, you move with them. Complicity through perspective. It means someone chose not to stop it. We as the audience get used to the violence because the filmmakers do. We flinch, but we keep watching. And once the laughter starts to fade, there's only silence, the sound of realizing that the joke stopped being funny a long time ago. In that way, Man Bites Dog turns cinema itself into a crime scene. Ben isn't just a murderer, he's a performer. Every kill is crafted by rhythm and timing. Every monologue is a mini stage show. He brags about art, calculates weight ratios for disposing bodies and quotes poetry as he fires bullets. But all of it is for the camera. The camera is his audience, his confession, his validation. It's where the film's brilliance and horror lies, in the way it exposes how media transforms violence into performance. There's a moment when Ben kills a postman, then celebrates over a glass of wine. The filmmakers keep filming, no one comments. It feels absurd, but eerily familiar. Because in our media-saturated world, how different is that from the way we consume real violence through new clips, viral videos or true crime content? Man Bites Dog just makes it explicit. It turns us the smiling face behind the camera. The deeper the film goes, the harder it becomes to laugh. What started as dark comedy spirals into something grotesque. By the final act, the joke collapses under its own weight. The crew's moral buffer shattered, and what's left is chaos. The violence becomes unbeatable, not because it's more graphic, but because the illusion of irony disintegrates. Suddenly, it's no longer clear whether we're watching fiction or a confession. And that's where the film lands its most painful blow. We are no longer innocent viewers. We are participating who've mistaken horror for humor. The line between laughter and disgust disappears, and what remains is only awareness. When Man Bite Dog premiered at Cannes, it shocked critics. Some called it genius, others called it obscene. But that's exactly the tension it was designed to provoke. The title itself comes from a journalism cliché. When a dog bites a man, that's not news. But when a man bites a dog, that's news. It's a phrase about the mechanism of media. What's normal isn't interesting, what's monstrous sells. The film weaponizes the same principle against its own audience. We came for the unusual, the dark satire, the pseudo-documentary realism. And the film gave us what we've asked for, then revealed why we wanted it in the first place. The directors, Remy Beau, André Bonzel and Benoît, knew exactly what they were doing. They weren't making horror films, they were making a media autopsy. They dissected how cameras turn human suffering into spectacle, how easily performance becomes reality once an audience appears. Long before found footage, horror or mockumentary realism became trends. Man Bite Dog treated cinema like an infection, one that spreads the moment you press record. There's something uniquely European about Man Bite Dog's tone. The dark humor, the existential undertone, the intellectual cruelty. It belongs to a tradition that runs through Brunel's The Exterminating Angel and Pascolini's Salò, filmmakers who used shock not to thrill but to interrogate. In this sense, Man Bite Dog fits perfectly into a European film lineage that asks not why are people evil, but why do we watch evil? It's part of what makes a film endure. The black and white cinematography doesn't just imitate realism, it purifies it, strips away color, psychology, leaving only truth and moral contrast. You notice the rhythm of Ben's breathing, the way natural sound mingles with the laughter, the grain of the image that feels too real. These are choices made to keep us in that uneasy space between fiction and reality, where morality has to fend for itself. That's the brilliance of the mockumentary form. It exposes how little separates observation from participation, art from atrocity. The camera doesn't lie, but it doesn't tell the truth either. It merely records who chooses to keep filming. Watching Man Bite Dog a second time feels different. The comedy fades and you start paying attention to the silence. The looks between characters, the mechanical way the crew keeps framing shots. You begin to see invisible hand, not of Ben, but of the filmmakers behind him. The second viewing becomes a form of self-interrogation. You ask, why didn't I notice this before? Why did I laugh? Why did I keep watching? And that's the real purpose of the film. You don't watch it twice for entertainment. You do it to understand your reaction. Because Man Bite Dog isn't a movie about murder. It's a movie about viewing, about the ethics of looking, about the quiet violence in watching something terrible happen and calling it cinema. The second view is penance. By the end, when everything collapses, we are left not with catharsis, but with guilt. And that's rare in film. Most stories offer closure. Good conquers evil, or evil conquers good. But Man Bite Dog offers no such comfort. It just points the camera back to us and keeps rolling. In a way, that's the most courageous act. Instead of moralizing, it implicates. It reminds us that all film, has blood on its hand, in one form or another. Every story of suffering requires a storyteller, and every spectator accepts a little blame. Man Bite Dog remains one of the few films that are both unwatchable and unforgettable. It's not evil in content, it's evil in method, because it forces us to see where enjoyment and horror collide. And maybe that's why it demands a second viewing. Not to relive the violence, but to understand it. To recognize how cinema transforms cruelty into craft and how easily we forgive it in the name of art. It's the film school project that became a manifesto, a brutal mirror up to the audience that thought it was only watching a movie. 30 years later, its message still bites. Because as long as we are watching somewhere, someone will keep playing the role of Ben, smiling at the camera, ready for another take. Man Bite Dog, a film so evil, you have to watch it twice.